Welcome back to Volo Television. This is Volo Thant Modulus Tautology. And this is another episode of Not a Game Show, yo. Well, I'm just throwing the darts at y'all, throwing the thoughts at you. Share some knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Help y'all achieve freedom, justice, and equality. Hip hop is an American culture created by the children of the 1960 civil rights movement. 1960 is when I say Generation X started. So Barack Obama is a Generation X, but he's an immigrant. First generation immigrant. His father is, I think, Nigerian. Met his mom in Hawaii, and the miracle happened. But I guess the 9 months prior doesn't qualify as time, especially with the Democratic Party, because they're a party of seeking for the right to delete babies without the father's consent, and therein is the ignorance that he, as the president, okayed in the concept or understanding of who is the head of the family. She's the head of her own body, I guess, and he's the head of nothing but guilt and hypocrisy and anything that she can lie about, So, and there we are. That's where we at right now in our current state of things. But that has nothing to do with the community consciousness and culture of hip hop. Because we were children back in the 70s, and we used to just, cut out boards, or we look for somebody got a new refrigerator. We'll take the box and cut the box open, and where I was from Mount Airy, so we had to put the MAB, Mount Airy Breakers, that's what we were, and we went and we got some MAB hats from, which was a paint company, and that was like kind of our uniform. We was putting our uniform together so that we can break and dance and battle the next blocks over. Because we was a tight-knit community. We wasn't really killing each other like that. We were battling. We started breaking so that we could stop fighting. That's what we did. But they keep promoting, increase the murder rate, increase the murder rate, increase the murder rate. And it just became too easy when it's, all hell Big Tish, with the false ideology or the false idolatry, and that's the statue that they got in New York right now. Yeah, y'all can say it's the other chick, whatever her name is, but and then there's a whole lot of healthy women that proclaim that looks like me or whatever. So it is what it is. But it's funny to me sitting back watching the white nationalist argue over which side, left or right, is being more, discriminatory towards foundational Black Americans because of the idolatry of such a quote-unquote motherhood. Now, I mentioned Big Tish because Big Tish was actually proud of going to Family Parenthood. And ain't nothing you could say to her about it. That's where she is. So that's she's a prosecutor, and now the she was on the other foot. I guess she wasn't prosecuting enough foundational Black Americans. That's where it gets kind of hypocritical and kind of we see it because they're coming after all the Black female prosecutors. What we needed was more Black female defenders. We needed more Black male defenders when it comes to law. That's just part of what I'm experiencing right now when dealing with the judiciary system, the DOJ. So that's why I just sit back and sip my coffee. Right now I'm drinking a little bit of sugar-free Kool-Aid. So I'm trying to, be as healthy as I can. I do my water and apple cider vinegar, and I'm gonna start doing that twice a day. But that's another show for another day. Right now, we rapping about black fatigue versus white fragility, which is both two concepts on the same side. It's the left, it's the Democrats, it's democracy, right? They try to make it seem like it's both sides, but it's only one sided. It's one sided movement. Yes, the Republicans, 70% of the Republicans are Democrats. We know that. We understand that. Over 70% are. They jumped sides many years ago. We get that, right? That's why a lot of them are proclaiming that Republicans are the conservative party now, when Republican was originally the party of liberation. It was the party of liberating foundational black Americans and fighting for the economics of America, which the Democrats owned at that time. And they're doing the neocon thing in order to continue on with that such a concept and still not trying to play foundational black Americans with reparations. They rather bring in a whole bunch of immigrants illegally and pay them to be at the forefront of their working class. It's like we still we are the workers. We are the field ninjas. Is what I like to use, the term I like to use now. And there it is. You know, yes, I am a samurai. Yes, I'm gonna go back to being a monk again. But therein is the triad of Dungeons and Dragons on the Eastern philosophical methodology, whereas the classic Western psychological ideology, however you want to pronounce it, is knights and rogues and thieves like Robin Hood. So we'll get back to more to breaking it down for the people that aren't really into role playing games and Shakespeare and all those good things. But there it is. You know, it is hip hop still in the end. And I'm just going to share some quick videos with y'all. The first one I'm going to share is I'm going to start off with some Fox News, just to be like, hey, y'all want me to be more adult, so I'm going to share an adult conversation about the topic at hand when it comes to black fatigue versus white fragility. So I'm gonna go to the source of the Fox News, which isn't necessarily the right, but that's what they want to claim that they are. When all the local Fox stations are really the left, they really Democratic more so than Republicans. Just keeping it 100, right? So this one is going to do the proper way of. It's going to show their discussion of the statue at hand, and their opinion on it. Then I'm gonna share another video with I'm gonna go some Jason Black today, but not just a little bit of Jason Black. I don't want to go too militant on y'all, where he's talking about Joe Biden, and it's come to our attention that Joe Biden has cancer. So we're praying for the family, and that's it. That's all we can do. Pray for them and keep it moving, because we have a lot of work to do to rebuild. And then finally, I'm going to end with some Rob of 2 review, a gamer. I'll say the best for last, where he talks about the Switch 2, and it's going to be his last console. Yes, I still would want a Switch 2, and yes, if I end up getting one, it will be my last. You know, I was thinking my Switch OLED was going to be my last console, but if the money gods or whatever, right, slip me enough cash to go get a Switch 2, for me and my son, we'll go get it and enjoy it, together, kind of a thing. So there it is. So I'm gonna jump right into the videos. I'm just gonna drop them, and fair use for 1976 Copyright Act, and I'll comment on them. I'll chop them up a little bit, that way they don't send a copyright claim right at me. Fair use. How many times I gotta say it? But people can still hit you with it if you share too much and not cut it up enough so that the algorithm, because they got the algorithm set so that it recognize it and then know if you're playing by the rules. And I'm gonna try to play by the rules as best as I can. Jason's is only like 2 minutes, and then so is Rob's. So, but I'm gonna share a copy and link in the description, etc., etc. There it is. How much time was that? That was 10 minutes right there. I'm kind of going over time, but there it is. That's enough right there, and we're gonna jump straight into it, starting right there.
Democrats have been on a statue jihad since the summer of love. Christopher Columbus, Teddy Roosevelt, George Washington, even Honest Abe, even Frederick Douglass all got torn down. Statues are important. They tell the American story. But the left wants to desecrate and forget our heroes and erect their own statues. In Times Square, a giant statue of a black woman just went up. And when I heard about the statue, I was open-minded. American heroes come in all shapes and sizes. Who is this woman? What did she do to get a statue? A nice one, too. Nothing. This isn't a real person. It's a DEI statue. The sculptor says she's a fictional character who's meant to contrast the statues of white men in Times Square, like Father Duffy, a World War I hero who actually accomplished something. The artist calls this fake lady a modern-day David. The contrapposto pose of her body and the ease of her stance is a subtle nod to Michelangelo's David.
So as you can see, it's already starting off with the quote-unquote white humor, and there's a new video with Lizzo actually standing in front of it and doing another. It's hilarious. Like, so it is between Lizzo. I like to say it's Big Tish, the prosecutor that is in trouble right now, and there's several other people that they're all making fun of it, and they're keeping it up, of course, until next month, which is the month of Father's Day and Juneteenth, and somehow that got snuck in to be Pride Month now, but it's not. I'm black and I'm proud. It's more LGBTQIA plus PDF files, and we're all about no P Diddy right now, so we'll get more into that. And my son shared a hilarious video about Diddy Kong, so it's no Diddy Kong now too somehow in the scheme of gaming and game theory and all the above. So we'll keep it going on with this video here, okay?
David was a celebration of the human form. Not sure what this statue's celebrating. If you were going to put up a fake statue, why not make her happy and healthy? Not slap a big scowl on her face and her hands on her hips. This is what they want us to aspire to be? If you work hard, you can be overweight and anonymous? They don't like real statues because it reminds them of our society's merit-based system. They want a society based on equity, where achievement isn't celebrated, equal outcomes are. So they celebrate mediocrity instead of triumph. Our nation has hundreds of statues honoring black Americans, as we should. Harriet Tubman, Duke Ellington, Jackie Robinson, Rosa Parks. We could go on and on and on.
So I'm gonna get quicker at flipping my mic on and off, and I can't wait to get a nice little mixer so I can just hit a button and be right on and stuff like that, and less editing, and plus this is my way of saying, hey, it's live. I'm live and direct, because I'm recording it in real time. But he started off with saying that they tore down Frederick Douglass's and showed video of them tearing down Frederick Douglass's statue, which should be a very disrespectful towards foundational black Americans. Umar Johnson likes to big up Frederick Douglass, but then he had, I think, three wives, so and then one of them was a quote unquote snow bunny, so how he feels about those things. And it's just ironic that adultery is still being at the forefront of destroying the position of a father. We're trying to work towards the brotherhood of mankind. That is the foundation of the fatherhood of God. So we this whole leftist movement of the womanhood of mankind. It's paradoxal. The womanhood of womankind makes no sense. So the motherhood of God being it's more than Mary and her son or Madonna and the son, right? Because we all get one mother. So motherhood not being able to come together with their children, and a relationship with the fatherhood of God is the causality of a lot of the destruction that's going on in our community. I just keep it as 100 as possible. You see, the commandments is first love God, then seek respect Lord, then the third one is seek wisdom. Sabbath day for fatherhood. Motherhood is at the realms of womanhood right now, and womanhood is really completely out of control because it is being corrupted by what Biden put into place. Keeping it 100 as possible, Kamala wouldn't have been able to bring back the brotherhood of mankind so that we can build a stronger fatherhood of God. And we'll go over the live life, give, receive, true, false, and peace, compassion, happiness. I'm missing one, but the last 5 commandments, we'll get back to those too. Befriend, marry. We got to get back to the basics. Befriend, marry. All this adultery is very destructive, and we'll get more into that later on. I'm getting off topic. Let me keep going on with the video. All right, and I'm wasting time.
In Times Square, they could have done it for Michelle Obama or Kamala Harris or Oprah Winfrey. Usually you have to earn a statue. I'd give one to Jalen Brunson. He's carrying the Knicks on his back. Anyone but a fake lady. So, what does New York think about the DEI statue?
Do you know who this woman is?
No.
I have no idea, no.
Nope.
Have no idea, no.
No, I do not.
Do you have any idea of maybe something that she accomplished that got her a statue?
Something with equal rights? I don't know.
Something to do with like the Black community.
Part of the BLM movement?
What if I told you she accomplished nothing?
Really?
It's supposed to embody everybody. Does that make sense to you?
No.
I think I feel totally represented by that.
You do?
No.
I feel like it's a good representation for New York, especially because it's towards the BBW women. And a lot
I'm
of
sorry,
people,
what's BBW?
big black, like the big black women.
Her using the BBW herself is hilarious. Now, was that young lady Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Dominican, and then we get into the xenophobic aspect. Since I'm foundational Black American, and I'm a Carolinian, is where my roots come from. Being, xenophobic towards the other Latino, Hispanic people, brown-skinned people. They my people, you're my people, right? It's just, this is my landmass and this is where I am, so, I'm trying to build something. I'm not trying to fight and argue with my own people over my little pot of land that I have. But of course the government is trying to take it, and this is what they do. The government is of course trying to desegregate us, right? It's all desegregation is nothing more than destroy the foundational Black American family. It's get him out the house, put her in a position of power over him, and then defund everybody. And that's what they've been doing. So we're trying to not resegregate is what the Democrats are trying to sell. Separation is futile if you're talking about Pan-Africanism, going back to Africa. Like, nah, our roots is deeper here than it is over there. Just to be honest with you, one drop rule, it took effect on the natives as much as it did the colonizers that brought the Africans over here, right? Or wrong? So, we can sit here and argue and debate that all day, but I'm not arguing and debating with a bunch of people that just want to be ignorant just to be ignorant. They like to practice ignorance just to be ignorant. So, Trump brought in 50 white South Africans. Hey, that's what he's going to do. You know what I mean? Why do we need to bring in 100 more black South Africans? Build. We need y'all to build over there. Right? We're trying to build over here. It's as simple as that. But if we don't have what's called solidarity with amongst black solidarity, right? We need to stop complaining about white solidarity, because they don't have that. But that's the mirage but I'm sitting back and watching them fight each other left and right. Their left and right are fighting each other. That's why I say they're all Democrats. Only a small percentage are about liberation, right? That's to be freedom, justice, and equality. They want to talk about equity instead of the equivalence of love God. It's not hard mathematics, but it is what it is. I'm wasting too much time. Let me come back.
What do you think about her pose? Is that a good pose?
No, I don't think she's happy to be here.
People are comparing it to Michelangelo's David. How do you think it stacks up?
She's wearing more clothes.
She's not naked.
No.
Would it be better if she were?
That's a tough question.
Who do you think she voted for?
I would say Trump.
I think she voted for Trump.
Probably Kamala.
Why do you think that?
Black Lives Matter.
Probably didn't vote
Why?
because she's stuck here the whole day. She couldn't get to the polls.
How does she make you feel?
Like a baddie.
What a beautiful piece, standing in the middle of Times Square. What a beautiful time.
Jimmy Fail is the host of Fox News Saturday Night.
There it is.
Have you checked this statue out?
I have watched it. It is not quite Michelangelo's David. It's more like Michelangelo's Lizzo, if we're going to be honest. And when I say Michelangelo, I mean the migrant dressed as the Ninja Turtle, Michelangelo.
Oh, that Michelangelo.
That's hanging out in Times
The
Square.
one that my son plays with.
Amen. Everything wrong with liberals is they're into slacktivism over activism, meaning this is supposed to be outreach to the minority community, changing a statue. But you don't improve test scores or lower crime by changing what a pigeon goes potty on in the park. Because that's ultimately what a statue, that's its impact on society, is it's a restroom for things that fly. But you understand, it's called, I love this, I looked at the placard, it's called Grounded in the Stars. That's what this is supposed to mean.
What does that mean?
Well, it's a fancy way of saying you're grounded in weed and bum pee, because what is in Times Square right now? And if you wanted to make a statue that memorialized the women of Times Square, it would be a hooker with an Adam's apple.
I mean, right? And who set this up but a black European artist, right? Like he's not well paid to present this hypocrisy, right? False idolatry, right? I just, it's false pride. But we know this, right? As hip hop, we always thought the Grammys was false pride. We knew that, all right? Kendrick knows that. Is that's false pride? Yeah, he knows. But you get caught up in it sometimes, and then what happens is, what's his name? Kanye West, and that's what happens. So now Kanye West, being a Christian, all he can do is give it all away in order to truly make it to heaven. Right? He might have already, but he might have gave it back to the other community. We need a little help in building our community. But now even they're begging, right? So in order for Kamala to win, she had to beg us for cash. and then blew that cash. When I go out this door in the next 15 minutes, the children are out there, confused, needing help. Fatherhood's not around. And you can't help them. You have to help yourself. I can help them and give me some help. Right? Or help me help them. So the only way you can help them is to hit the like button, subscribe, share. Send $1 to the Cash App or whatever. If you don't got it, don't worry about it. I'm not here to beg. I'm here to make a change, make a difference, even in your life. But all this hate, just to be hating, go to war, and you're not a soldier. I'm done with the hypocrisy. Right? I'm here to share love. A lot of y'all act like y'all not. Let's finish up with this one. It is corny, ain't it? It's white human. That's why it's corny. And it is what it is.
Let's be honest. This is embarrassing.
It's insulting because there's so many other great statues you could put up: black, white, skinny, obese. It doesn't matter. It's about the accomplishment, not what they look like. It's just an identity politics statue.
It's total scam. Think about this. DC has a statue of Marion Barry. He was elected mayor twice. Now, the statue does have a crack in it. Hey, there it is. And you know how you mentioned maybe we should make one for Michelle Obama? That is actually a no, because she would complain forever. Would you want to be that sculptor? Yo, she is the Meghan Markle of politics. She complained about everything. But the point is, there are people to honor, and there's really one point. When you tear down statues, what people don't get is, yes, those folks didn't share our values. But the reason our values evolved is because of those folks. They were the best people in the world at the time who moved the ball forward on behalf of this country. That's why it's a scam. What did she move forward besides a rolling pin on a pie she was making?
Are you sure this isn't Tish James?
No. You want to know
sure?
why? Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because she would have been devaluing the value of the statue, saying it was only worth $4 million and it was probably worth 12.
All right, one day we're going to have a statue of Jimmy in Times Square.
It's going to be hot.
And I'm going to topple it.
Good for you.
And it's going to be hard.
Love it.
Now, y'all know I said it was Tish James. You know what I mean? That's who she represents. The pride, the false pride. I'm going in here to family planning. And I'm proud of it. Like, yo, you really don't get no more anti-God than that. And her whole movement was, take down the king, right? And that's what y'all still chanting. Take down the king instead of, build with your own kings. But as I'm watching the real king speak, y'all still spitting on they, you know what I mean? You're kicking them while they down still. I miss DeAndre. DeAndre would make some great videos on YouTube. I might share some more DeAndre later on tonight. Make another video. I make videos today. Right? But DeAndre used to make videos, and now I don't see him anymore. Because we're going through the same thing. Bankruptcy, divorce from, the family is being destroyed, divorced. And what's the other one? Bankruptcy, foreclosure, they gentrifying, taking our homes, right? I go to the courthouse. Y'all don't go to the courthouse, right? We need legal representation, but all the legal representation is either they're Democrats, right? They're not here to help us. They say that they are. That's how the court system is built. It's built on the judge, and then you have a prosecutor and you have a defender. When it's a black person in there, you have all three positions are prosecutors. When there's a white person in there, all three positions are defenders. That's how racism in a form called white supremacy or superiority or, whatever word you want to use to justify them having favoritism amongst or solidarity amongst themselves. You see, we start showing solidarity amongst ourselves, then that's when the desegregation, the separation, and I've seen it for the past 4 years. I was going into these places and Yes, the foundation, us foundational black Americans couldn't even sit together at lunch because the illegals or the Puerto Ricans or the Dominicans or the Italians was like, why are they sitting together? They're not allowed to do that. And me having a history of management and complain about it, I was the first. You would be the first to go because you're trying to build a foundational black American nation where we don't want it to be in the workplace. You're not supposed to come together and, right, as a people. Segregate them in their own neighborhood, they're going to kill each other. That's the mentality of the white superioritist or supremacist or the, what was the other word I got? It's another S word that I'll remember it. I'm gonna share some Jason Black right now. Y'all depressing me. I'm already over my time. Let me go right into Jason Black, and there it is, right?
Led to his decision to exit the 2024 election 3 weeks later. He didn't choose that. They had to push him out. And now we know what I've been saying the whole time. They've known for years. People, I have a very simple question. Who the hell has been running this government? Who's been running this country now for the last 4 years? Because we know who it ain't been. They told you that he was just getting older. And I noticed something about Biden. Did you all notice how wispy his hair got over the last 4 years? What? I noticed that. I noticed that Biden's hair over the last 4 years got really wispy. It got really thin. And I remember thinking then, okay, is balding getting more aggressive? We already know he's senile. But did you notice his hair's been getting thin? And real wispy. Well, don't expect CNN or ABC or Fox News, for that matter, to point out something this obvious. By the way, anybody notice that his hair got real wispy over the last 4 years? With them claiming, oh, we didn't find anything? That doesn't seem quite right. So who has been running this country for the last 4 years? And I submit to you, it's the people who are always running it. Joe Biden was put there because he was a literal empty suit with an empty head. He didn't know what the hell's going on. They tell him what to say, and then he marches out there and goes to say it. There was an episode of Star Trek that was like that. Based on Nazi Germany and Jafar, the man had been dead for a long time, but other folk were talking for him. You're not on your way to a Soviet Union-style government in America. You're already there. With people running this thing behind the scenes, like Metal Gear Solid, the person sitting in the White House comes and goes, but the people who actually run this nation, they persist. They're not members of a political party because they control both parties.
And there it is, you know? Just a little bit of Jason Black. And I'm going to jump right into Rob, and then I'm out, you know? Who cares who wins the council war? I'm just trying to get back in the game. And religion, politics, and scientific ideology or methodology is three equilateral angles, you know, equilateral angles in the same I done messed my own saying up, right? Right? There are three angles in the same equilateral triangle. They're the same thing. It's you know, whether or not the concept or idea is psychological, you know, like we tend to look as a Western thing. When you're talking about Sigmund Freud and things of that nature, it's more of an ideology. We know Sigmund Freud was a druggie, a drug addict, and all that good stuff, and he was pretty much guessing what the mindset is of the id, ego, and superego, right? And dealing with the child wanting to kill his father and marry his mother, or the reverse kind of electric concept or whatever. When it comes to the brotherhood of mankind. And then when you're dealing with the philosophical side, yes, you are trying to do more with the methodology of the art of logical thinking or the laws of reasoning when it comes to explaining the, behind the concept of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, whether it's a cognitive construct like epistemology or a spiritual concept like metaphysics, depends on how you layer out the pragmatics, semantics, and syntactics of the language. So we're developing these things. But I'd rather just play a game instead of trying to explain it, and then I'm being attacked because I don't understand. You're speaking colloquial rhetoric. And all I can do is, hey, no, here's your Bible. Keep studying that. You're not ready for this calculus. Times are changing. Times are changing. So, but yeah, like I was saying, the Nintendo Switch is probably going to be Switch 2 is going to be my last console. Hopefully I can get one. If not, every day is God will anyway. And I rap too much today on this podcast. But I'll be back later on. I'm going to make a couple of them. I've been kind of lacking on. Oh, this is Hip Hop Appreciation Week. That's why I'm on here today. And today is Malcolm X's birthday. So I'll be back with some more Malcolm X. We're going to drop some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of that. Here's the last video, and then I'm out. All right?
To the world of video games. I was born in 1980, which means I first started gaming when I was probably 3 or 4 years old on an Atari 2600. This predates the existence of the NES, and I've obviously been following the video game industry and playing games as a hobby for pretty much my whole life. Again, since I was 3 or 4 years old, through the Atari days, the 8-bit, 16-bit, 32, 64-bit days, through the 6th gen, 7th gen, 8th gen, 9th gen, to whatever we're going to call the Switch 2 when that finally releases. That's how long I've been playing games. 4 decades, basically. And I love this hobby. I love this industry. It's stayed with me through all of the best highs and the worst lows of my whole life. And through all that, I've been thinking about something for probably the past 2 or 3 weeks. And because I've been gaming so long, I feel like it kind of feels like a bigger deal when I say this, but I kind of think that the Switch 2 might end up being the last video game console I ever buy. Now, one thing I want to say and get out of the way right at the beginning of this video here is that what I'm not doing in this video is making like a declarative statement. I'm not stating for sure that the Switch 2 is going to be the last video game console I'm ever going to buy. I'm not even necessarily predicting it as much as I am talking through this, right? As I mentioned, for the past several weeks, I've kind of been thinking about this and following what's happening in the industry. Yes, following Nintendo and the Switch 2 and my excitement for it. Also following what's happening with the rest of the industry, other big third-party publishers, Microsoft, Sony, with the Xbox and the PlayStation. I'm a fan of them all. I own them all. The PlayStation 5 is absolutely the console I play the most in my household. Way, way more than even my Switch. And I like the Xbox Series X a lot. It is a great machine, and there are a couple of games I really love on it. Indiana Jones, Halo Infinite, and Starfield. I'm huge fans of those games. I own them physically because that's what I do. I buy my games physically, even on my Xbox. But I say that to say, as I follow what's happening outside of the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2, I just continue to see signs from the industry at large that it just continues to go in directions that don't really appeal to me and my personal gaming sensibilities. This isn't me telling you to agree with my sensibilities. I'm just explaining how I feel about gaming, the things that I want and desire and enjoy about it, and the fact that, again, outside of the upcoming Switch 2, pretty much everything else I see is kind of painting a picture of a gaming world in years down the road that I might not really want to be a part of.
There it is. I hope y'all enjoyed this little quick show. I had to put in 40 minutes. I ain't even gonna put in that much time. So man, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe, share. Most important, love God, our Father, all the time. Hip hop, life, love one. That's God is love. Hip hop is life. Time is holy. Money, it's nothing more than a fourth dimensional illusion that really doesn't exist. Because hip hop is the art of making the most out of life, not hate. I need y'all to really think about that. You know? So show some love, hit that like button, share, comment, you know? I just watched Deep Cover. That's one of the great movies. I'm gonna share some more information. I'm gonna start sharing more videos. I'm reading Silver Surfer comic book. My son been doing Superman, so we're gonna collaborate on things like that later on. But hope y'all enjoyed the show. Program. I gotta stop calling them shows. Hope y'all enjoyed the program, and I wish y'all compassion, peace, and happiness. One.